And so John Woolman, in a very famous passage, has got up and they've been having trouble with the interpreters between English and the other, the indigenous language, because he can tell that the interpreters don't get everything and aren't interpreting back. So he just decides, he says, I told the interpreters I found it in my heart to pray to God and believed if I prayed aright, he would hear me, and I expressed my willingness for them to omit interpreting. So our meeting ended with a degree of divine love. Before the people went out, I observed Papa Nuhang, a man who had been zealous and laboring for a reformation in that town, being then very tender, speaking to one of the interpreters. And I was afterwards told that he said in substance as follows: I love to feel where the words come from. And that's always been, always caught my attention. And it speaks to, it doesn't define, but it speaks to me what maybe spirituality is about. And I think the recording just started, so I'll recap something that's puzzled me all my life, what that even is or what the nature of it is. And so this morning, I'd like to do a little worship sharing. We're not going to go around in strict order because we can't see everybody anyway. But if people could speak out of the silence, just to the query, what for me is spirituality? And I'll just leave it that open, and we'll let friends speak out of the silence.
I'll start. Spirituality is that which reveals, which opens me to more than myself. Last night, I went to a party in Carol Sing, and the host had us all put up on a name tag as we went in, and it had your first name and where you were born. And then at some point in the party, they had us go around and everybody say their first name and where they were born. And there were 60 people from about 6 years and up. And then we went out and we literally sang carols to the neighbors. We went down the street and sent one of the kids to ring the doorbell, and if somebody came to the door, 40 of us stood there and sang. Hadn't done that in many, many years.
I think spirituality is a very personal thing. It's one's own way of seeking God or communing with God or Spirit. Doesn't mean that it can't be done in a group, but it's like everybody's got their own way.
To me, spirituality is seeking out, trying to communicate with, and learn from the material and non-material universe that surrounds us.
I don't have a definition that I can say in words. I've heard a few that sounded pretty good to me. I've also heard another message that was more experiential, and I like that a lot too. So I can only talk around it. I recall that spirit in its first meaning is breath. And breath is something we produce with our bodies. And as I was sort of sitting with the idea of this query this morning earlier, for the first time, I think ever, I started thinking in a serious way. It always kind of bothered me and not really been part of my, thinking or feeling. The idea of incarnation, the idea, I think John Dominic Crossan calls it the idea that we're all enfleshed spirit. There's kind of a boundary there. There's that part of you, at least that part of me, that this goes to, I think, I can't remember the word Steve used or the word Mitch used, but that sort of that both material and other, world. There's that part of you that even, even in an internal voice, but of course with other people, is talking in coherent sentences, sometimes even using logic correctly. And that's the part that I think we usually think of as ourselves, that part. But I reflect how little of my time is actually spent there. A lot of my time is just stuff running through my head or wherever it's running through. And it's not coherent, and I couldn't even tell you a minute later what it was that was going on. It's just sort of this thing that runs, and especially tends to happen after I've eaten a big meal or something. But there's that piece of us, and that's the part that, for instance, the new atheists, the ones who are very, very hardcore about, you use anything relating to God language, you get, no, you're not being rational. That's all there is. I think that's the part that gets missed. There's that part that if we ignore it, if we don't give it attention, it comes back to get us. That's why some of the most rational sounding people have come up with some really horrid things. There's a movie from it's the 50s, science fiction movie called, I recall, it's called Forbidden Planet. And it's a one of those hokey movies with but one of the things about the movie is they come upon this people who've been marooned on this planet, just a father and a daughter, kind of the Tempest sort of thing. And then there's a vanished civilization on this planet that apparently was very advanced and very rational. It was way beyond what human beings, had achieved, or way beyond what the human race has achieved. And somehow they vanished. And what they finally figured out was that they had created these perfect machines for giving them whatever they wanted. So they only had to think. That's all they had to do anymore, just think. And the problem was, one night their thoughts just rose up and destroyed everything because they had not been attending to that darker side. So I think for me, what's valuable about why I'm not right now, for instance, at the Society for Ethical Culture, and I really like some of the people there. We've had some people who've gone from our meeting through there, is that I have to attend to that part of me that's not, that's words. And much as we try to talk to it or around it, which we must try to do, we have to attend to. And somewhere in that attending to it, by singing Christmas carols, by doing music, by doing those things that aren't strictly part of our rational mind, by looking at that, attending to that place where the rational, physical, and the something else all come together. For me, that's I guess that's a definition of spirituality, I suppose. But I'll never stop wondering about it.
I was reminded of that spirit and breath are in many languages, at least in ours, tied together. You talk about being inspired, and you talk about being deflated when you're down. These blow up lawn ornaments that everybody has. Stuart and I make rude comments about them when they're all laying down and they're turned off in the yard. And then you go by and they've been inflated, they've been inspired. And sometimes that's my own experience too, that an external breath is necessary to get the, to give the insight to mix a metaphor. That
I'd like to answer the queries. I think spirituality is living life where I don't know if it's belief in or confidence in or entertaining the hypothesis of, with occasional glimpses of that which is not ordinarily visible to the physical eye in the physical realm. The unseen. And like right now, we're all sitting here, 1, 2, 3, 4 of us, and some other people who we can't see who are on the screen. I wasn't.
The unseen.
And I don't know if there are spiritual beings, non-corporeal, present among us, but I do think it's possible.
And we're running out of time.
Okay.